Hello. Today we will be looking at the subreddit r/EntitledParents. Let's meet some scumbag parents. Ep thinks they rented the whole park. I'm at a city park with my kids. We've been to this park a bunch. There is this one spot where there is a rocky hill, all tree covered, nice and shady on a hot day. There is a playground and a pavilion at the top of the hill. We get up there, and I immediately notice loud noises, and I'm having to step over cables and extension cords. Someone rented the pavilion and set up not one, but 3 bounce houses around it. Fine, great. So I have to give the disappointing news to my kids that, even though they are surrounded by bounce houses, they cannot play in them, since this is a private party, but they are free to go hit the playground. Everyone is cool. I sit on a bench as my kids go to town on the fake pirate ship. When I hear hey, that's when Ed, doing his best to imitate the situation from Jersey Shore, walks up to me and informs me that the playground is closed for a private party. I look at him and inform him that the public park does not close for private parties, and it sounds like he rented the pavilion nearby, which is fine, but doesn't give him exclusive use of the neighboring playground. He storms off and returns with a rental agreement and shoves it in my face, telling me to get my fine kids and leave. Right, so rental agreement is very clearly for the pavilion, all for the grand sum of $35 for 4 hours. How could any sensible adult think that $35 granted you exclusive use of a public playground? Moreover, why is it so important for you to have exclusive use of a public playground? I, again, point out to him that he rented the pavilion, not the park, and my kids won't go on his bounce houses and we won't go into his pavilion, but the playground is fair game for everyone. He begins hurling threats, and I'm weighing just taking my kids and leaving to avoid the sussle. Then I decide I need to take a stand on principle. So I tell him to F off and proceed to use my phone to find the phone number for the park office. Our county staffs our parks. During the summer months they employ park rangers who have peace officer authority. I call the park ranger and tell him that there is trouble up at this shady playground and they need to come right away. Sure enough, as I'm getting off of the phone, Dolph returns with 2 of his meathead friends to tell me that they are rejecting me from the park. No, you're not. And if you touch me, I'm calling the cops and pressing charges. No anger, no rage. With this promise of action, however, one of them kind of widens his eyes and steps back, saying to his friend, just leave them alone, man. This guy, for some reason, does not want the police coming, and it is very obvious. The ringleader won't back down, however, and tries his best to get in my face, scream and yell. He grabs my arm, I remove his hand. All of this, just as I see the ranger pull up, yell for everyone to step back from one another and come over. This smug effer shoves the rental contract into the chest of the ranger, telling him that I'm trespassing, and he rented this space for the day for his kid's party. Now, normally I don't like posturing by law enforcement, but here it was pretty amusing. Ranger, touch me again, and I'm arresting you. Reads contract, this is for renting the pavilion. You have use of the pavilion, but the playground is open for public use. Hands it back. Also, your permit doesn't allow you to set up bounce houses. Where did you plug these in? Ranger follows the extension cords and sees that they ran them to the nearby public bathrooms. There was an outdoor outlet. It was locked. This dude cut the lock off so he could plug in his shit. Ranger comes back with a broken lock. Did you cut this lock? It was like that when I found it. Really? Because it was intact this morning. So some random person cut this lock and you just happened upon it within the last 2 hours? I guess. Long story short, he let them stay and let them keep the bounce castles because he didn't want to ruin a kid's party. He wrote the guy a citation for the broken lock and the unauthorized power use and banned him from the park for the remainder of the season after the party. Amazingly, this entire event was lost on my children, who barely noticed anything was going on, likely because of the compressed noise. But Christmas is about family. I've really enjoyed these stories and thought it's about high time I share a story about my mom. She's a special one. When I was in high school, my parents got divorced, and my mom has never stopped being bitter about it. She throws tantrums and tries to pull power moves to get more time, more attention from her kids whenever possible. Since I live abroad, she kicks this behavior into overdrive whenever I come back to visit. This particular year my grandmother on my father's side had passed away, and not long before that, his second wife had died. Needless to say, my dad had a rough couple years and he really wanted me home for Christmas. I didn't have the funds to buy a ticket, so he bought me one. He even paid extra to get me a more comfortable seat on the exit rows on a direct flight, so I could get there quickly and in comfort. He was putting me up at his place for the entire visit, and feeding me all the food I could eat. Never once asked for a cent. The only thing he wanted was my company at the holidays, and how could I say no to my recently widowed father? It was lovely to spend time with him, meet the new lady in his life, and eat everything I can't get here. Of course, I can't go home and not tell my mom I'm coming, or visit her, lest I. First thing she does is start telling me how I'll be spending Christmas Eve and Christmas Day with her and my brother. I told her that's unreasonable, since my dad paid for me to be home, to spend time with him, and she can have one day but not both. Not that money is the most important thing ever, but dad has put so much into bringing me there, and deserves the greatest benefit, as opposed to the whiny selfish brat I have for a mother. She starts whining and laying on the guilt trip, but you're staying with your dad. He gets to see you every day. It's not fair. I'm only asking for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Christmas is about family. Yay mom. Christmas is about family, which is why I want to see my dad, his brothers and my cousins. We were planning a sort of belated memorial dinner for my grandma, since most of us would be able to be together. Mom starts threatening to just show up at my uncle's house to crash the dinner since we are still married in the eyes of God. I'm still part of this family. Thankfully dad's side of the family was prepared for her drama and had planned for us to meet on Boxing Day, but I still want to spend the 24th or 25th with my dad. So mom brings in her trump card. I already told your grandparents we are coming to visit. Great. She always uses her parents, who I adore. RIP grandpa, he passed away a few years after this, as a way to get what she wants. They're only available for a visit on Christmas Day. They're elderly, they don't do anything but read books and nap, but it's not worth it to argue. I talked to my dad, he's super understanding. He was married to her for nearly 20 years. He knows how she is, and I'm off to my mom's house for Christmas Eve. My brother and I are chilling out, cracking jokes and reminiscing about dumb kid stuff. Mom is insisting we have to eat the stuff she likes, drink what she wants, and watch all the Christmas movies she wants to watch. When I get a text from my best friend of 15 plus years, his mother, who has been battling cancer for years, has just passed on. I'm in shock. I tell my mom I need to go to his house right away, since he's home alone, and has just lost his mother to cancer. My mom, but it's Christmas Eve. You can't go. Me, his mother just died. He is alone. I'm going there, to make sure he's okay. Mom, no, you can't go. Christmas is about family. Me, his family is dead, and he is alone, and I am going to his house now. Mom, actually shocked I'm snapping back at her. Okay, fine, go tell him I'm sorry about his mom. But you have to be home by 10. It's Christmas. It's 9 PM, and I'm done with her shit. I'm going to his house and I will come home when I decide to. Do you really think an hour is enough time when his mother just died? Mom. Okay, go. But be home by 11. Christmas is about family. By this time my friend had arrived. He drove over to pick me up, since I can't drive, and I just walked out without a word. I came home sometime later than mom's curfew and somehow survived the rest of the holiday. Mom never apologized or saw the error of her ways. Thankfully my friend was okay with time, and while I'm super sad his mom died, I'm glad I was there when it happened. And yes, my mom did whine a bunch about me spending time to go to the funeral instead of spending time with her. Remember, Christmas is about family, just not the dead or grieving ones. A wild Karen being a bitch on the plane. Background. Like I have mentioned in my last post on Entitled Parents, I have been diagnosed with anxiety and autism, and I have issues with loud noises, crowded places and people. It's rare for me to travel, but when I do, it always stresses me out. I always take ear defenders wherever I go, as well as a stuffed toy. On this trip I took my seal. Now on with the story. Cast. Me. A. Super intimidating midget M. Self-explanatory CD. Cool dad Ek. Entitled kid P. Passenger. So I had just got seated in my seat and began getting comfortable. It was a 2-hour flight. I got my ear defenders on and clutched my seal in my arms and started reading the book that I had bought. About 5 minutes later, Karen enters, followed by her husband and their son. He looked about 3 or 4. Karen and her child sat in the middle and window seat. I was in the aisle seat and CD sat in the middle seat opposite to me. No more than 2 minutes later, I hear M. Excuse me? Me. Yes. M. Can my husband swap seats with you? We would hate to be separated. I look over to my left and say, is that him in the middle seat? M. Yes. Now can you move? To be fair, it was a reasonable request, but I have to sit in an aisle seat. Otherwise, I get extremely anxious as I would either be sat in between 2 people or squashed in a corner. Me. I'm sorry miss, I would prefer to stay where I'm for personal reasons. M. Oh come on. Stop being a baby and move. Although, how old are you? You look like a baby with your body and sitting there cuddling a toy. I ignored those last comments and said, me, I've already said I don't want to move so please leave me alone. I placed my ear defenders back on and continued reading my book whilst clutching my seal. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw M whispering to Ek and occasionally glancing over to CD. I thought nothing of it. Dumb mistake on my part. All of a sudden, I felt movement on my lap and saw Ek tugging on my seal. I shouted in surprise and gained the attention of some people around me. Me, hey, what are you doing? Ek ignored me and succeeded in taking my seal out of my grasp, but then fell backwards into the seats in front of us and let out an ear-splitting shriek. M. What have you done to my child? At that moment, no words could come out of my mouth. I was in shock and starting to panic. M rushed over to Ek, picked him up, and almost threw him into CD's lap. M. Honey, that girl attacked my baby. Get security someone. Everyone was looking at me now, and I felt myself starting to cry from being overstimulated. Then, a girl who looked to be around my age, will be referred to as P, walked up to M and said, P, listen woman, we all saw what happened, so I'm gonna ask you to stop your bitching and leave this girl alone. You could almost see the steam coming out of M's ears as she tried to retaliate, but then her husband stepped in. CD, honey just go back with Ek to your seats and leave them alone. With many audible grumbles, she sat back down, and with a stroke of luck, P's mother offered for me to sit in the empty aisle seat on their row, which I gratefully accepted. Once I had moved, M began throwing another fit, because her husband wouldn't move next to her. Good choice on his part. So, no dramatic ending, but hope this entertained you at least a bit. Edit. Many are asking if I got my seal back, and yes I did. I grabbed it when I moved seats. Also, Blobby appreciates all the compliments he's getting, and they make me happy that you like him. Edit. Platinum. Thank you so much. Edit. Gold. Thank you. Both awards mean a lot. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy this video, click on that like button, and be sure to leave a comment and let me know which subreddit you will like to see a video about, and please subscribe. Click on one of the 2 amazing Reddit videos on the screen to continue watching.